started.
That's fine. I would say first. You're right, and we'll get
Okay.
the.
Chapter 5.
All right. So we're recording, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Suzanne Clausen. I own CruiseOne, Sholo, Arizona. I'm celebrating my 10th anniversary of our business this summer. Very excited about that. And we're glad you came here to learn about the itinerary that you see behind my husband, Steve, the circumnavigation of Iceland, visiting also Canada and Greenland, round trip from Boston, August 3rd of 2022. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let me get my presentation ready to go first. Get the slideshow up. And then I need the other screen up as well. Let's see, if I make my window smaller, I think that will come up. I try to get everything ready to go, and then, something else pops up and it's not ready. All right, now I think I am just about ready. Let me just pop the Zoom screen up so I can keep an eye on everyone. And it didn't pop back up. Where is my Zoom screen? Oh, it's up there. Okay. All right, I've got to. I'm having technical difficulties. There we go. There, I see it now. So let me make that a little bit bigger, my Zoom screen.
I think that's Victoria.
There we go.
All right, now I'm ready to go. So I have my Zoom screen, my slideshow. I am all set. So I'm going to share my screen. One and share.
What?
All right, so I got a question for everyone.
Wow.
What do James Bond, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Star Trek, and Captain America all have in common? Well, it's Iceland, of course. They're all filmed in Iceland. Yep, all filmed in Iceland. Okay, what do Iceland, Greenland, and Newfoundland have in common? Well, they were all explored and settled by Vikings during the first millennia.
Oh, I want to go back.
So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Suzanne Clausen. I own a local franchise in Sholo, Arizona of CruiseOne. I have clients across the country. If you're new to my agency and found us through Facebook, or maybe were referred by friends, I want you to feel very comfortable booking with me. I'm happy to do a phone consultation with you, talk to you about your cruise plans, your dreams, your vacations that you really want to take. I build strong relationships with my clients, and my biggest strength is repeats and referrals from those clients. And you're never just a transaction when you work with me. I want you to have a meaningful vacation. I work in your best interest, and I use my expertise, training, and my strong relationships with our suppliers to make sure that all those things happen. So just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm going to go through this really quick. In August 2012, I opened my franchise in Sonoyta, Arizona. In 2014, we relocated temporarily to Simi Valley. In March of 19, I received the Opal Award for Outstanding Leadership in Sales and Community Service from our organization. In 21, I relocated to Sholo, and in September of 21, because of the whole shutdown, I decided that I was going to use that time for professional development, and I earned my Master Cruise Counselor certification from our trade organization. In 2021, I rank in the top 2% of all CruiseOne Dream Vacation franchises nationwide. We have over 1,500 franchises. I've been traveling the world for 45 years. I've been to over 42 countries, 7 continents, and over 42 cruises, over 46 countries and counting. So I love to travel, and that's why I'm in this business. Since August of this year, my husband Steve and I have done 8 cruises. We think that there's no better way to travel. And We are going to be sailing again in about 5 weeks to Norway. And then a week after that, we are going to Greece. And I plan a lot of groups. So just to kind of give you an idea of some of the companies I've worked with, I've done friends and family groups on all of these cruise lines. And then I've worked with a lot of organizations, wineries, the Kiwanis Club of Simi Valley, the Daughters of the British Empire, a service dog foundation, and even a veterinary clinic to do an incentive cruise for them. And here's just a couple of the advantages to working with my agencies. One thing I want to stress is that you never pay more going through an agent, and that by working with me, help is just a phone call, a text, or an email away. I am one of the most responsive people in the business. Oh, now let's talk about the cruise. So the cruise is August 3rd of 2022. It's 24 nights on the Holland America Neustadt and Dam, round trip Boston. So the nice thing about that is you get to visit Iceland without an overseas flight required. Here's a quick look at the itinerary. You can see it on the map. We visit a lot of places in Canada, then Greenland, and then we circumnavigate Iceland and visit lots of interesting places there, and then go back to Canada, and then wind up our trip in Maine and Massachusetts. So this voyage is, I call it the Voyage of Explorers and Vikings, because so much of this area was explored by the Vikings, and they had permanent settlements in many of these areas. The Canadian Maritimes were also first mapped by Captain James Cook. So if you're a student of history and his voyages, the places we're going to be visiting are certainly of interest to you. And most importantly, we are going to be visiting the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. So hopefully we get to see lots of these little fellas. So let's talk about the ports of call really quick. I'm going to go through quickly. Sydney, Nova Scotia is the first place we visit in Canada. There's lots of things to do there. There's a scenic drive along the Cabot Trail. It's considered one of the most scenic drives in North America. You can take a walking tour of the historic town. There's an Alexander Graham Bell Museum of Invention. And of course, there's some scenic sailing excursions, and you can even take a haunted walking tour of the town. Corner Brook is our next stop. It was founded in 1767. It has a site that is a monument to Captain James Cook. There is a paper mill that was a major employer, but now the hospital is the largest major employer there. And this area is really the gateway to Grosmore National Park. Lots of beautiful scenery in this area. There's also an opportunity to do local food tasting tours that include dancing. There's several scenic walking tours and several options to experience Grosmore National Park. Red Bay, Labrador is a really, really small town. It only has 169 residents. It was a Basque whaling station, and it's a National Historic Site and UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's a whaling museum. There's an opportunity to do some scenic hiking and some whale watching there. Then we go to Kokortag, Greenland, and this place was first inhabited 4,300 years ago. They were considered to be what they call Paleo-Eskimo culture. Then they were followed by the Vikings and the Danes, and now this area is a mix of all those different cultures, from the Native American culture to the European culture that has been there. Eric the Red was famously banished to this site and founded a colony near here in Greenland. And the population is about 3,000 people now. Here in Kokortag, you can do tasting tours, walking tours, helicopter glacier tours if you really want to splurge. There's hiking opportunities, and there's even an ancient Viking ruined church to see there. Next, we'll do scenic sailing in Prince Christian Sound. And you can see on this map where it is. It's kind of like sailing through Glacier Bay in Alaska, or in one of the beautiful fjords there if you've done an Alaska cruise. And just here's an example of what the scenery, it's about 60 miles long and narrow, in some places only 1,600 feet wide. There's just some more pictures of French Christian Sound. Going to be a beautiful scenic sailing day. So next place we're going to visit is Isafjord, Iceland. It was first settled in the 9th century by Vikings, and it was a large trading post for foreign merchants in the around that time. It has a tundra climate, and its current population is around 3,000 people. So one of the things that people like to do there is bird watching. There's an island near there where you can see puffins.
Did we even make it there?
Where?
Isafjord?
No.
There's also an opportunity to visit an Arctic fox preserve and research center. So if you're fascinated by some of these unusual animals that are indigenous to this part of the world, that would be a great thing to see. If you're active, there's kayaking and bicycling. And if you're into history, there's an old Viking village and an interactive Viking museum. Now, Akureyri is one of the places in Iceland that I've been to before. It was settled in the 9th century, and it's known as the capital of the North. And the reason it's such a populous capital is that it has an ice-free harbor pretty much year-round. That has to do with the way the winds and the geography work. So it's a gateway also to some of the most scenic areas of Iceland. It has a pretty large population for this part of the world, 18,000, and fishing is the main industry. And one of the things about northern Iceland, as opposed to Reykjavik, which is in the southern part, is they're much more into their folk culture. So you'll experience a lot of some of those old traditions of Iceland in this part of it. I recommend definitely going out to see the Godafoss Falls. Now, the legend has it that when Iceland converted from paganism to Christianity, that the king or the tribal leader threw all the statues of the pagan gods over this falls as symbolic that they were converting to Christianity. Some people say that's just made up. They just call it the fall of the gods because it's pretty, but either way, it's a good story. So some of the attractions that are in this area that you could enjoy in an excursion would be to visit the lava fields of Dimmenberger. This is the home of the Yule lads, which again are part of that folk culture, and they're sort of like mischievous Christmas elves. Also, there's a thermal bath in that area. Lake Miviton is an area where parts of Game of Thrones were filmed. They also have pseudo craters and volcanic mountains and true craters. And then there's the famous Griotagia cave, which was the inspiration for a famous set for a love scene in Game of Thrones. They didn't actually film it there. They recreated the cave on a set. And here's just an orientation on the map so you can see where these things are. I do this because I know some people that they take a cruise and they go in and walk around the little port town and don't ever get out of town to see some of the beautiful scenery. And I just feel like when you're traveling to Iceland, you don't want to miss some of these spectacular sights. But in Akureyri itself, just to give you an example of some tours, there's whale watching. That seems to be a theme in a lot of these places. You can take a little tour of the town itself, but I really recommend the natural attractions that are just outside, the waterfalls, the volcanic features. And there's an area where they filmed a lot of season 2 of Game of Thrones in this area. So even if you're not a fan of Game of Thrones, just to know that they have the spectacular scenery to go see, it's certainly enticing. Here's some of my own pictures from when we were there 3 years ago. And we have the Dimmenberger, the Godafoss, and some pictures of the volcanic landscape. Next stop, we've got a couple more pictures of Akureyri, so we'll move on from there. But the next stop is Seyðisfjörður. Now this town was probably first settled in the 9th century, has a ruined church dating back to the 11th century, and it is the only international car ferry port in Iceland. And they have a car ferry that sails from Denmark. I think it takes about 2 or 3 days to get from Denmark to there. Small population, only 676 people. I bet you they all work in that ferry port probably. It's known for some beautiful scenery like this charming church and the Rainbow Road. But some other things to do just outside of town is Gefufafoss, which is about 2 miles outside of town. So if you're into hiking and 2 miles is a normal hike for you, you can go just get off the ship and walk to these falls. You'll see more waterfalls if you do the Chasing Waterfalls excursion. There's also an excursion to some bird cliffs and some nature reserves with 47 different species of birds. There's sightseeing boats to different fjords, walking tours, and you can also take a tour that visits a nearby fishing village. Our next place we're going to visit in Iceland is Djúpivogur, and it only has a population of 456 people. It's famous for this nesting birds art installation with 34 eggs representing the 34 different species of birds in the area. Some things to do there would be culture and nature walking tours. You can venture further afield with a trip to a nearby glacier, canyons, and waterfalls. And there's also a visit to a nearby fishing village, farm stand, and there's even a maritime museum in a neighboring town called Hoffen. Reykjavik is the first permanent Viking settlement in Iceland, and it's named after the steam from hot springs, which means smoky cove. The name Reykjavik means smoky cove. It's famous because it hosted the summit between Reagan and Gorbachev back in the 80s. It is the center of art and culture in Iceland and the gateway to the Golden Circle, which is the most iconic tour you can take of Iceland. These are a couple of highlights of the Golden Circle tour. It includes the Golden Falls or Gullfoss and the most regular geyser in the world, and the historic and geological wonders of Thingvellir National Park. Also in this area, and I don't know if you can take an excursion to it, but that they do have that erupting volcano. It may be stopped by then, but I thought it was interesting to put a picture of it. And there's a picture to kind of give you an orientation of Reykjavik. And also another famous site in Reykjavik is the Blue Lagoon, which is a geothermal spa.
Right.
Here's a map to give you a little bit of an orientation of where these things are located. So the Blue Lagoon is located out on this peninsula to the left, and then the Thingvellir National Park, the geyser, and the Gullfoss are over in this area. So definitely, if you want to see these things, you need to take a tour outside of town rather than just going in and walking around town. Floyd, I just muted you because the dog was barking, but it's fine. Just when you need to say something, just unmute yourself. Reykjavik, again, is the center of art and culture. It's the capital. There's a sculpture walk that you can do around the waterfront, and this is just one of about 15 different sculptures created by local Icelandic artists that are located along this waterfront promenade. So if you've been there, done that, seen the glacier, seen the geyser and the waterfalls and the national park, there's lots of art and culture to be had within the city. But if this is your first time and you haven't done the Golden Circle, this is my #1 recommended tour for the entire cruise. There's some different ways you can do it. I highly, highly recommend that you do this. Okay, so continuing around the island of Iceland is Grundarfjord, and it's another fishing village, about 872 people. And it is known for this famous waterfall. It's called Kirkjufellfoss. And it was also featured in Game of Thrones. There's a walking tour. You can walk to these falls. It's less than 2 miles from town. So if 4 miles is your walking distance, you can walk to it. But there's also some tours or take a taxi to go see it. There's also puffins, so again, bird watching. And there is even a shark farm in this area. Then we head back to Greenland and we visit the Nortalik, which was first settled by the Norse and last settled by the Inuit. It has a population of about 1,200 people. The North Cape is the place of the polar bears, and you can do a walking tour around town. There's also some rigid inflatable boat tours that would take you around the islands and see some of the scenery in the area.
In his first today, he went less than 2 innings, gave up 8 runs on 7.
So next, we're going to head over back to Canada, head to Canada to St. Anthony's in Newfoundland.
Well, we will
And this-
go back to the Prince Christian Sound again too.
Prince Christian Sound. Yeah, we do. We do visit Prince Christian Sound on the way back. So we'll have a second day of scenic sailing in Prince Christian Sound. So thank you, yes, for pointing that out. It's just that it wasn't new, so it didn't come up again. So we visit St. Anthony's in Newfoundland. Let me find there. And it was a French Basque fisherman settlement in the 16th century. And near there, you will find a Viking settlement. There's a tour that you can go take it. It is the oldest known European settlement in North America. And it was not discovered, I believe, until I was in middle school. So it's, it's a fairly recent discovery, and they have an interpretive museum there at the ruins. There's also history museums in the area, and there's some walking trails that have like interpretive panels, so you can learn about the scenery even on your own.
With the Vikings, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to know more about Vikings after this cruise than I think I ever wanted to know. So St. John's, Newfoundland is the capital of Newfoundland and Labrador. It was first settled in 1583, and it's a big city. It's going to have a population of 100,000. There is guided hiking. There's, again, whales and puffins tours, guided city walks, guided food and wine experiences. So lots of different things. And you can see it's such a beautiful little town. It probably lends itself to just getting off the ship and exploring on your own as well. St. Pierre at Miquelon. This is territorial France. It is the last vestige of New France, and it remains an overseas territory of France by vote of the people. The residents are French citizens. They have a population of about 6,000, and the island went back and forth between Britain and France during the colonial and revolutionary period, but finally ended up in France since 1816. And it was colonized by Basques, Britons, Normans, all from France. Halifax, let's see, here's more St. Pierre and Miquelon, just some more pictures. And then we'll move on to our next port, which is Halifax, Nova Scotia. This is just about, if we don't count Boston, it's the biggest town we're visiting, 400,000 people population, and it was founded in 1749. Some interesting things to go see there are a guided walking tour of the Citadel, the Titanic Cemetery, where victims of the Titanic disaster were buried. There is a Pier 21 Immigration Center, which is similar to Ellis Island. It's Canada's version of Ellis Island. You can take a duck boat city tour, a harbor tour. They have a hop-on, hop-off bus. There's Peggy's Cove Lighthouse, where, of course, you see this gentleman playing his bagpipes is at Peggy's Cove. And there's nature hikes and also a hop-on, hop-off tour, as I mentioned before. So after we leave Canada, we're going to go back to the United States to Bar Harbor, Maine. And one of the, I'm sorry, was there a question? No. Okay. So Bar Harbor, Maine is known for Arcadia National Park. And there's several different tour options. You can do a guided ocean trail hike, lobster bake, biking, a boat tour and lighthouses. You can kayak Frenchman's Bay, tour Bar Harbor. You can take a lobster boat ride. There's a walking tour of the Victorian part of Bar Harbor. So now that we have talked about everywhere we're going, I want to show you the beautiful ship. So this is the Neustadt Dam. It was voted best new ship of 2019 and the best mid-size ship of 2020. And truly, the Neustadt Dam is a ship for foodies and music lovers. So this little graph just shows you everything that's included with the price of your cruise. It's pretty much, standard what you would receive on a cruise, but your accommodations, your fine dining in the manning room, casual dining in the Lido, cardio gym equipment, cooking demonstrations, a daily array of activities, including dance lessons, trivia games, and beyond, sports like pickleball and ping pong, and your standard beverages are included with the price at our group rates, which are going to be like juice with breakfast, tea, brewed coffee, ice water in the dining room. Now, here are the things that are not included with the price of your cruise. Is the gratuity for your crew, which is $15.50 per person per day. And that goes to all the wonderful people that clean your room, take care of your every need, wait on you in the dining rooms, service all the stations in the buffet area. They are just some of the most wonderful, hardworking people in the world. And that's what makes a cruise so special, is that crew. Sometimes they'll have gym classes that are an extra cost. The specialty dining would be an extra cost. There's 3 or 4 special restaurants on the ship. Of course, if you went to the spa or the salon, there would be an addition. And I have air. So the air that you breathe is free, but your air to fly to Boston is not included with the price of the cruise. So those are just some of the things that would be extra to add to your cruise. Now, a way to enhance your cruise experience is with the Have It All package. And this is $45 per person per day, and it's a $90 value. It includes 3 nights of specialty dining, your surf Wi-Fi package, 3 $100 shore excursion credits per person, an alcoholic beverage package that is the signature beverage package. It includes 15 drinks per day, and that includes wine, mixed drinks, many other different packages. And this is your choice to add or not add this to our group rate. So everybody has a choice. If you're booking directly with Holland America, the rates are much higher, much higher, and they include the Have It All, and the discount for not including it is nothing like what our group rates are. So I'll do a little comparison later to show you what the savings are with our group rates. So there's a couple more things about the Neustadt and Dam. World-class entertainment. They have the Lincoln Center stage for classical music, B.B. King's Blues Club for blues and soul, and the Rock and Roll Room features a 5-piece band playing the best of 4 decades of rock and roll. Rounding out the entertainment venues is the Billboard on Stage, which features dueling piano playing all kinds of music, and the World Stage, which features classical musicians and a 270-degree wraparound projection screen. This is where they feature the BBC Earth in Concert, which is a combination of the BBC Earth movies with live orchestra music. It's really an incredible, entertaining experience. Let's talk about the food, because you can't talk about a cruise without the food. So in the main dining room, you're going to have gourmet food with a rotating menu. Another included venue is the Lido Market, which I called it a buffet earlier, and that was incorrect. It is a quick service area where your items are prepared a la minute. It is not a buffet. It is so much better than a buffet because the food doesn't sit out for hours or so. They also have a dive-in, which is their gourmet hot dogs and burgers. They have a New York Pizza and Deli, which features pizza and New York style deli sandwiches. And of course, they also have room service. And all these venues are included in the price of your cruise. Next, we have the specialty dinings on the Neustadt and Dam. The Pinnacle Grill is their ultimate steakhouse, which features prime steaks, seafood, and fine wine. Canaletto is their authentic Italian cuisine restaurant. Tamarind is their Asian fusion. And in the additional premium dining is included, there's a Nami, or you can visit Nami Sushi and Rudy's Celle de Mer, which is a French seafood and bistro. Well, let's talk about the accommodations. Okay, I have one inside room still available in my allocation. I believe that most of these rooms are going to be on category guarantee, but we probably will be able to do room assignments around the time of final payment. This is 145 square feet interior space with no window. The next one is ocean view. My ocean views in my allocation are officially sold out, so we'll skip on to the next one. But I have 4 or 5 category Vs and 1 category VD, and this is just purely the location on the ship. The category Vs are in good locations, midship, mid-deck. They have glass rail balconies. The VDs are still in pretty good location, but they are going to be category guarantee at this point, so you wouldn't be able to select your location. So now let's talk about a price comparison. So this is just a screen grab of that category V cabin. This is the price if you were to book it on Holland America's website today. Actually, this is from a couple months ago. I'm not even sure you can book this on Holland American's website today. And this is our group rates. So this is for the category V category. So you can see it's a savings of $6,660 per person. It's really a good deal. And that's because I took out this allocation early, and this price here includes the have it all. So just as this one does. We have 1 Neptune suite that is available. It's going to be a category guarantee, available in my group, but sold out direct. And let me just show you, the pricing is on my website for that. Let me just pull over here. It's only, the one I have in inventory is only $3,600 more than the standard balcony. So if you're interested in a suite, let me know. So here's some additional information. So it's really nice because we're going to be able to support the Cal Nevha Kiwanis Children's Fund. This has a mission to build a better future for our children through grant funding, scholarships, leadership training, and innovative pediatric trauma care programs. There will be a $100 donation per cabin donated to the Children's Fund, plus a bonus donation. It's equal to approximately the average cruise fare for one person, and it can vary depending on what our cabin allocation ends up being in the final group, but 1 for every 6 cabins that we have booked. When I put this presentation together, we had 7 bookings. We have 10 now. So we just need 2 more to get to that second bonus. However, I have 1 cabin that's booked right now, and she's kind of on the fence. So even if we got 2 more, we still might not make that second bonus, but it certainly makes our numbers look good for getting these fundraisers, and we get the $100 per cabin no matter what. So we have these huge group savings per category, and I've made this little chart. This is our pricing. Our rates are so much better than direct, and you have the option of adding have it all with all those extras, or choosing just to book the basic cruise fare with the group. Cruising with COVID. So everybody always has a question about this. I want to be here to answer your questions. And after I finish the presentation, I'll take any questions that you have. We are confident that cruising is safe and healthy. Currently, cruising is with 100% vaccinated passengers for COVID. All passengers take a test for COVID prior to embarkation. And your deposit is fully refundable through May 3rd, should you get cold feet and just not feel comfortable. Holland America also offers a unique insurance option. It's cancel for any reason travel protection that will reimburse you for 90% of the cruise cost if you cancel prior to the start of cruise travel. That's sold at an extra cost. I can get you a quote for that, that cancel for any reason travel protection. And here's just some of the latest safety protocols. Cruising has has statistically proven to be one of the safest ways to travel. The amount of people testing positive is minuscule to what's in the general population. Again, almost all passengers are vaccinated and tested. Over 100 cruise ships have returned to sailing since June of 2021. And the cruise industry is the only sector of travel and tourism that is both requiring vaccinations and testing for crew and guests. The latest data shows that even with higher rates of testing, the cruise industry continues to achieve significantly lower rates of COVID than on shore.
As Suzanne mentioned, we've been on 8 cruises since August, and it's always felt very safe. In fact, we've been on the last 3 or 4 cruises on have had 0 cases of COVID while on board. One before that, I think, had 2. So it's been very, very good, very safe, and very, very comfortable.
Okay. And here is a special offer. Now, this is my offer that I offered in January, but I just talked to my sales manager at Holland America. She's able to extend this for anybody that books before, books in the next week. It would be for lunch on lunch for 2 on a sea day at the Pinnacle Grill. So there, I got it right. I said it right. And then dinner for 2 in the Canaletto restaurant on any night at a cruise. We have lots of sea days. So this is a cruise of a lifetime. I hope that you have all enjoyed this presentation. I know some of you have already booked and you probably came to just kind of get a refresher of what there is to see and do. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so that you can see me again. And you might have been able to see me in that part too. But I'm going to go ahead and answer any questions. I'm going to unmute everybody or ask to unmute everybody. If you want to just chime in and ask any questions, I'm here for you.
Well, I'll just make a comment that Mary and I were in Iceland, the southern part, about 9 years ago, and we said, man, this is spectacular. We plan to come back sometime. So we're realizing that that adventure. And I spotted this round trip Iceland. I says, man, this really does it all. We get to see the whole island again. All of these sites that we've been to before, we look forward to going back to. So I think you'll have an exciting time. And Suzanne is a phenomenal resource. I've been on a couple of cruises with her, and glad to have Steve along. So anyway, I encourage you guys to go for it. Look forward to meeting you, and we're going to have a fun, adventurous time together.
Yeah.
And I want to see puffins.
Oh, Mary wants to see puffins.
See puffins, so that's great.
I know. I'm so excited.
Well, and the one thing I really want to emphasize is that if you have friends that want to book or you're interested in booking, to get in touch with me right away. There is very, very limited allocation. We thought they were going to pull it all back at the end of March. And I just happened to check like 2 weeks ago and saw that I still had unsold inventory that they were allowing me to sell. So we decided to host this Zoom night and maybe get a couple more people to be able to join us with these really, really good prices, because it's for the 24-night cruise. Our prices are, you can see they're like 30% less than if you book with Holland America Direct. And some people say, Suzanne, how do you have those low prices? Well, about a year and a half ago, I started looking for cruises to promote, and I looked for exotic destinations, and I knew how wonderful Iceland was. So I went ahead and took out speculative group space with Holland America. And it was kind of hard to promote when everything was shut down, but as soon as things started opening up again, we started booking people on it and getting it sold out. So of course, Holland America is having that same reaction with everybody coming out of the woodwork and ready to travel again, because we've been locked down for 2 years. So that's why this sailing, which is so rare and so unique, is mostly sold out. I just happen to have a little bit left in my allocation, and I thought, you know what, instead of letting that go to waste, I'm going to see if I can try to find somebody else to join our fun group and also support our Kiwanis Club.
Yeah, as mentioned at the beginning, if you know of anybody else that might be interested, either tonight or tomorrow morning, we'll be sending out a thank you note about joining us. then there will be a link to the video, so you can watch the video again or share it with your friends and let them see it, if there might be some interest there.
That's great.
All right, well, is it,
I might want to say one other thing. Suzanne and Steve are both on the cruise with us, which is really fabulous.
yeah, we're very much excited about returning to Iceland and then also getting to see Greenland. I mean, that's a bucket list place for me. And Steve and I have been, we found out about this club. We'll never join the club, but we at least use their list. It's called the Century Club. And it's for people who have visited one, well, no, why would we join it? I don't know. But it's for people who have visited 100 unique destinations throughout the world. And we are going to check off 3 new ones with this cruise because Greenland is one, St. Pierre at Miquelon is one. I guess it's just 2 because we've already been to Iceland and we've already been to Canada. So really 2 more on this cruise, but you know, the scenery is so beautiful. And Steve doesn't want to cruise for any other reason than to see beautiful scenery. So I know we're going to see lots of it on this cruise.
I think we're in the low 60s right now, like 100 list. So.
And I do want to mention, I do have group space on a similar itinerary about the same time in 2023. It's just speculative group space. It's not tied to any fundraiser or anything like that. So if you can go this year, it helps support our fundraiser for the Kiwanis Club. But if you can't go this year, I do have group space on almost the same itinerary in 2023. It's on a smaller ship. I think it's the Zaandam. And then also in 2023, Steve and I have group space on a round trip Amsterdam cruise that visits Norway, Iceland, the British Isles. But here's the kicker, sails all the way up to the polar ice cap and visits those remote islands that are part of Norway. Yeah. Do you have that map in your backgrounds, Steve, by any chance? Just see if we can throw that one in real quick. Just to mention, you know, if these dates don't work out for you, because this is 24 nights in 2022, August 3rd through August 27th. Steve's seeing if he has that other map. He may not have it. It's okay. I put you on the spot, hon. I'm sorry.
All right, just go take me a second.
Okay, switching it out.
I think that's this one.
Is that it? It's a little bit zoomed, a little cropped, but you can kind of see that if you move to your right, Steve, there you can kind of see it starts from Rotterdam, goes up to the those islands that are very remote inside the Arctic Circle, and then also visits Iceland, and then a couple places in Scotland, Dover, England, and then back to Rotterdam. So that's another wonderful itinerary that we have going in 2023. Yeah. Well, it's, you know, we've been 45 minutes. I think I've taken up plenty of your time. If you are interested in booking this, whether you're watching us live or you are watching the recording, please give me a call as soon as possible. My direct phone number is area code 520-310-0396. And again, I'm Suzanne Clausen with CruiseOne. I'd love to help get you on this cruise and have this dream vacation for you. So thanks a lot for everybody for attending. We're going to go ahead and end it now. And I look.
Any more questions before we do that? Or?
Any more questions?
That's your.
Okay. And those of you that are already booked, you know, please feel free to give me a call if you have any questions about anything that we've seen in this presentation. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate your attendance and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.